Hey, I'm autistic, and I accidentally stumbled across something whilst looking for personality types that is actually evident of autism and not just personality. You see, there's certain things that people do that I always thought these are personality types, or at the very least, these may be connected to something like ADHD or just a hyperactivity in the person. Upon more research, I realized that this is something that's prevalent in autism. The misdiagnosis, bipolar disorder or ADHD, is because of this single reason. Now, I want to talk about something specific, and it's something that is very relevant because I feel like a lot of people deal with this issue, but they don't even know they deal with this issue. So autistic individuals, a lot of the time, are dealing with this, and they have no clue that they actually deal with it. And it's called hypermania. Now, mania is where the term maniac comes from. What's dark in this room, guys? Give me a sec, no the blood. But in autism, we have a condition, or a part of the condition, that can actually occur called hypermania. And hypermania basically is characterized by a few traits, and I'll go over those in a minute, but I wanted to kind of just really go over why I think this is relevant right now. And guys, check this out. This is where the Christmas tree was. So I just put this, these two tables here. I'm just going to turn the rest of these lights on. It's early morning here, getting my day started, but I'm gonna make an egg and sausage sandwich. But so hypermania, it's kind of like when an autistic person can really, like, they start to hyper focus on something and they could like stay up all night. Now, we all know that hyperfocus exists in autism. That's no kind of like big secret. Oh guys, I love drinking up my branded mugs. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below. But yeah, I love it. This is my favorite mug because it's black, but also has my logo on it. I love this. So hypermania is characterized by a few things, and I've written some notes down on this, about 6 to 7 signs of hypermania, which I think are really relevant and that we should be thinking about, or at least talking about. So here we go. Okay, so hypermania, or the signs of hypermania, is unusual high levels of activity or energy, right? So like feeling like super energetic, like, yeah, let's go, we could do anything, let's like run around. Like, for instance, like I can get up in the middle of the night after, like, I can be like completely fast asleep, and then my partner will be like down. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? Let's go. And like, I'm always like hyper energized and motivated, right? And then also inflated self-esteem and confidence, right? I'm quite a confident person. I teach confidence in my Bulletproof Brain course, which is all about autism confidence. I'm never overconfident, but I am confident. And I do have good self-esteem. But hypermania is when that overrides the normality of it, or the normalization of it. I'm like, what's going on in my hair? Guys, I interrupt this special broadcast to tell you about the Loop Timer. Now, Loop Timer is a ADHD timer for people on the spectrum who want to keep track of things like tasks, or maybe phone calls, or even just work. I use this absolutely every single day. No, I don't BS. This thing is absolutely a godsend. It's a absolute beast. And it was made by a guy called Cody who has ADHD, designed and made by him. And it's fantastic. I love the Loop Timer. I swear by it. It's magnetic. You can even hook it on the wall. This thing is insanely good. My 30-minute timer for everything I do. And it has this lovely like blue light that goes around the outside to keep you a visual track of what is going on. Now, if you want your hands on one of these and get 10% off, you can use the link in my bio here on YouTube. And if you're watching on any of the platforms, if you go to the link in bio, then you'll be able to get the link there as well. So if you want to go into the description of the video here on YouTube, you can get a discount, and also use the link in my bio if you're watching on other platforms. Amazing. Highly recommend it. I love Loop Timer. All right, back to the video. Okay, so the next one is flight of ideas. And a flight of ideas could be like you have 1,000,001 ideas going on at any one time. Now, this can be very similar to that of ADHD. A flight of ideas is kind of like, oh, I'm going to build a boat. And then you're like, oh, no, I'm not just going to build a boat. I'm going to build a boat, and I'm also going to write a book, and I'm going to put the shed together. And like all the projects, all the thoughts, everything that you have like thought about over the years all comes together, and you have every thought all at once. And all you want to do is do all these projects all at once, but it becomes overwhelming. and easily distractible. That's what I mean. So we have all these ideas. We want to do this, we want to do that. And then we're just super distracted. Like we don't even have to realize that we're distracted to be distracted. You know what I mean? Like we'll have so many thoughts like, oh, I have thoughts all the time. Like I want to do so many things. Yet I get so distracted easily. And yes, it could be that, having ADHD as well as autism can create this type of scenario. But in terms of hypermania, it's something that is kind of prevalent in the fact. And I feel like this as well, by the way, guys, I don't think that like hypermania is something that like you're autistic hypermania, so you have to treat hypermania. What I mean is that like, I think people will suffer from hypermania in periods, in short periods at a time. And I think that these are heightened by high levels of stress, high levels of anxiety, maybe trauma, and hypermania kicks in. Okay, so exaggerated sense of well-being. This is another sign. I don't really display this, I don't think, but this is a sign of hypermania. Extreme happiness or excitability. Now, I get super excited about things. I get super pumped about life. Air fryer them. And that is true. And I think that for most people, it is a form of hypermania where like, you get excited about something, you might get like too happy about stuff. People are like, how are you so happy about things? How are you so excited? And I guess it's either that or get super depressed, super low, and then go into a depressive state and then have mental health issues that kind of go on top of having autism issues and all these kind of things. So that can actually account for that. But unusual irritability or aggressive. Now, this can happen. I suppose like autistic individuals can, or people, people on the autism spectrum can be irritated and triggered to have more like underlying kind of like, oh, that sucks, or oh, this hurts. Like this trigger is causing me to become really angry and really like disassociated. And that really is really interesting because I feel like a lot of autistic individuals have low pain thresholds, but also autistic individuals sensory issues or sensitivity issues where they can feel things really, really strongly. So I think like irritability and aggressive behavior can come from the fact that we're triggered a lot of the time, but also as part of this hypermania. This is an interesting one, okay? Finding it hard to keep still. I find it hard to keep still. Of course, this is something that comes along with ADHD as well. And if you've got ADHD, then of course it's going to happen, right? Oh man, guys, it's been snowing quite badly the past couple of days, but hopefully we're over it. But yeah, you never know. Okay, so the next one is rapid speech. I suffer from this because if you think about it, rapid speech is kind of like you're hyperactive, so you're going to have rapid speech, right? If you're hyperactive most of the time, then you're going to speak quite fast. I think a lot of people always say to me like, Dan, you need to slow down. You need to you speak too fast. I try to speak just like, a normal pace and all speed like anybody else. But like everybody always says, Dan, you speak way too fast, or like hyperactive speech, which I think is probably one of the weirdest things and I can't even control. I don't even know I'm doing it, right? And less need for sleep. Oh my goodness, guys, I probably sleep about, in an average day, I probably sleep about, I don't know, I'd say 5 hours a night, maybe. It's not like I'm having issues with sleep because I'm like, oh, I can't sleep and it's interrupting my life and it's doing all this stuff. Actually, I'm okay. I can have 5 hours sleep and be okay. I'm putting on a sweater because it's like absolutely freezing up here, man. It's like so cold, and there's this ridiculous heating issue in the house that I'm renting. So check this out. I have to so here's the thermostat. So I set this thing for whatever temperature, but in order to actually get my hair is crazy. I'm so sorry. In order to actually get the thing to come on, I have to go into here, which is this cupboard. And then there's a valve at the back here. And manually move the valve. Also, by the way, guys, this is all my musical instruments. It's so I've got a drum kit, my bass guitars, and some Christmas decorations. This is just typical of me. I'm so sorry, my hair is absolutely crazy. I might just put a hat on and be done with it. But yeah, so in terms of hypermania, one of the cool things is that I can actually survive on quite little sleep. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a thing, nonetheless. And this is really interesting. Okay, guys, this is a little bit taboo, but it's the last one here. Unusually high sleep drive. Now, people on the autism spectrum who have ADHD actually do have, I would say, a heightened libido. And this comes from like hypersexuality through having ADHD or ADHD and autism. And it's like dopamine, because intercourse is super dopamine rich, so you're going to be hitting lots and lots of dopamine. Now, I do have a heightened, libido, and that's kind of interesting because like it's part of this hypermania. Now, but what does this all mean? Well, what's really interesting about this is that it can actually account for something where 11% of all autistic individuals will have bipolar disorder, okay? And so a lot of autistic individuals, especially females, when they're first diagnosed, will have a diagnosis of bipolar, but it's actually autism, right? But the same thing can be really interesting, is that the hypermania can mimic or show that kind of like up and down in emotional regulation or well-being, so that like one minute you'd be super excited and then you'd be super, super depressed. Like I said, I think the hypermania comes in sections or spurts, or it's like hypermania is kind of like this part, like it comes in little pieces, and it's not always like, you'll have an episode of hypermania. You won't have like a prolonged exposure of hypermania. But I think that like it's probably the thing that nobody talks about, because all of those things, when you're experiencing all of them together, and like an example could be like, you could be sitting on the edge of your bed like all night, just like, it's 10 o'clock at night, you go to bed, your wife goes to bed or your husband goes to bed, and you're sitting there thinking about something. But then you get so hyperfixated on it that they could wake up at 6 a.m. and you're still in the same position looking at the thing. But this kind of like behavior, irritability or irrational behavior, could then look like bipolar disorder. And then if you pair that with the fact that 11% of autistic people have bipolar, then there's no wonder we have so much misdiagnosis. But what can we do about it? What I think is really interesting is that when we see these patterns happening, I think it's an indicator that we are struggling with certain things in life. Like, okay, I mean, I'm always going to talk fast. And I'm always, I think your personality will kind of a lot of the time depict your sex drive or libido. But things like, extreme excitability or extreme happiness and the flight of ideas, so many ideas coming in all at once, but you can't actually do any one of them and then get easily distracted. And then obviously your irritability and aggressive kind of intake, you kind of like, you're more irritable or you're more aggressive. I think those are indications that we need to take a break or we need to do something, because if we don't do these, where does it lead us? I think like if we have hypermania consistently for a long, long, long time, if we're constantly going to episodes of hypermania, I think it could tip into mania, and mania is, is like an episode that you don't want to get into. Like it'll kind of just, it's a psychiatric state of abnormality, basically. So you're gonna feel kind of like disconnected from reality, and you'll have no creativity, but you'll just have crazy kind of like just overwhelmingly bad mental health conditioning. Like it's just so bad. Like you'll have elevated energy and moods, but also be kind of like unstable. It's almost like hitting psychosis in a way, where you're going to be in this kind of a state of just absolute despair, and nobody wants to get there. So I would highly advise that if you're displaying any of these kind of traits of hypermania, then it's maybe time to just take a little break, or time to just take a little bit of time out of your day to go, okay, maybe I should introduce a little bit more downtime. Maybe introduce a little bit more kind of like relaxation or some way. Now, I'm always happy to help, guys. Like if you want me to help you personally, actually, this is one of the most amazing things that I do, is when I work one-on-one with people, it's amazing. I feel so, I don't know, just so much kind of like happiness because I'm helping somebody one-to-one. Now, look, if you want coaching or mentorship from me one-to-one, you can do, I'll leave a link down below in this video, but if you're watching on kind of like Facebook, or if it's re-uploaded onto a different platform, not YouTube, and you don't know where the link is, just send me an email, dan@theaspieworld.com, and I can let you know the link if you want to sign up. But I have like a special mentorship program, right? And it's really interesting. Like I only have 5 spots available every single month, but I would love to help as many people as possible. And it's just really nice to be able to get to help people. So anyway, getting back to it, hypermania, it's a real thing. And it's super interesting because I believe that hypermania probably is one of the main causes of burnout. And nobody talks about this because I think people don't even know what hypermania is. And it's displayed across the board. And I think people who are like level 1, level 2 autistic are at higher risk of having hypermania that then turns into mania. But this is just my take on it. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So pop it in the comment down below. Do the thing. Let's go.